Hello everybody and welcome to Explain 12. Today we're going to do a small flight on the Cessna 172 Skyhawk, which is, I must say, it is a beautiful bird to fly. And yeah, as you can see today, the weather is pretty much perfect for flying. The conditions are great. There's no wind. It is cold, but we don't need to worry too much about it. I'm going to show you the flight plan. Right, so welcome to Little Nav Map, which is an app that I use pretty much always. And first of all, I'm going to ask you guys to ignore this green light above, because this was just a little test I made. But as you can see, we have only 3 knots of wind, and it's blowing us in the western direction. So it's pretty much we don't even need to worry about that. I'm also not going to use ATC because it is a pain to use, and it is pretty much unrealistic. It's realistic to the point where they tell you everything, but it's absolutely awful to work with, and I don't have patience for that. Right, but we are in Castelo Branco, which is a beautiful city. We're going to take off runway 16 and we're going to maintain runway heading until we reach waypoint 1, which is about here. For some reason it's not here. I don't know. It's pretty confusing. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's there. It just doesn't want to show up for some reason. But we're going to turn around the city itself, as you can see, and we're going to go north towards Viseu. We're going to see Serra da Estrela, as you can see, to our right, until we reach Viseu, and then we start descending to the airport. Right, so welcome aboard the Cessna 172. It is a beautiful plane, as I said before. It is not the G1000 version, just because I'm still not used to that system. So we're just gonna go classic, just instruments and a little GPS to help us. Right, I'm not gonna use any checklist. Let's first of all close the door because it is cold outside. And let's do this. Let's turn our beacon, first of all, the batteries. And we're gonna hear that winding up, as you can see. So this will be cars on the other side of the airport. So there's live out here. That's cool. And let's turn on our beacon lights. And this is the little light here on the tail, as you can see. This basically just warns people outside that we are about to start the engine so they don't get too close. Now we put in some fuel, and just a little bit of throttle should be enough. Now we turn on our fuel pump and start. Perfect. We can see the artificial horizon automatically lining up, which is perfect. And now we can turn on our nav and strobe lights. This should be in both. That scared me. Okay. We are also going to turn on the pitot heat because it is cold. And now the avionics. Okay. And we are going to load our flight plan, but before that, let me actually see if it is loaded. It's not. So for that, we need to go to flight plan, and then, okay, so it is loaded, but we're gonna delete that. So let's go to delete flight plan, enter. Okay, I'm just gonna hope that doesn't do anything bad to us. And then we have this secret button here, this inner knob thing. You have to click it. And this is not, okay, what the hell? No. Okay, so basically it ignored the fact that the waypoint exists. Or not. I have absolutely no idea. One second. Oh, okay. So we had to click it again to deselect it. But yeah, now we have to push to select it. It is selected and we click enter. And it should load, although... Okay, so we have all the waypoints here. Yeah. The only problem I have with this, and I haven't figured it out yet, is that the GPS is heading in the same direction as the airplane. But I would like it to be lined up with the north and not the airplane. But we have to adjust our heading because this is completely wrong, as you can see. So it's 07. So it's completely on the other side. Jesus Christ. Yeah, sometimes you have to do this. So it's 7. 6, 7. Okay, perfect. So right, let's just turn on our taxi lights, and our landing lights will be turned on later. For now, we're just going to start rolling. So parking brake off, and just add a little bit of power, and we should start rolling. Please. Okay, there we go. Just need a little bit more encouragement to start rolling. But yeah, I want to see what I'm actually doing and not our feet. Would be cool, you know. Another thing I forgot to do was this. Was to reset the timer. Okay, it's I have no idea how to control this, so we're gonna ignore for now. If anyone knows how to reset the timer, please tell me. But okay, one thing I'm a bit worried about is our speed, because we pick up a pretty strong wind only when we reach waypoint 2, and so we don't get that high speed, that optimal cruise speed for the Cessna. But we're not in a hurry, so whatever. Let's stop right here and make sure that... Okay, what the hell was that? I just wanted that... Okay. Parking brake, that's all I want. So there's no one coming. I don't think there's any traffic out here, but we will do the magnetos check. Landing lights on, parking brake is set, and we are going to wind up the engine until we reach about 1800 RPMs. So about here. And now we're going to test the magnetos, so we should see a drop that shouldn't be more than 150. Okay, now back to both. And now right magneto. Okay. So we're fine. Let's reduce the throttle. And release the parking brake, and now we're going to line up with the runway. Also, this game is absolutely beautiful. It is not, you know, Microsoft level, but, you know, it's pretty realistic. We have roads and cars and life. I do not know what's going on with our tilting, like with our roll indicator. Okay, now it's better for some reason. Right. Let's start rolling. And full power. Airspeed is live. 40 knots, 50, 60, and rotate. Awesome. Let's just keep the heading for a moment, and then we're gonna start slowly our turn to southwest, which is gonna meet our waypoint 1. And we're gonna use the autopilot. So let's turn it on, and now we're gonna click nav 2 times so it follows the GPS. We're gonna use vertical speed mode to indicate our rate of climb, which in this case is gonna be 500. So it's, you know, not that fast. I'm not in a hurry to climb. The city itself is right here. We're gonna see it better once we get closer. Right now we're still climbing. Our speed is actually pretty good. It was worse during my test, but man, it's just beautiful today. You can see clouds, the sun. It's pretty actually, which is rare, honestly, during winter. Yeah, as you can see. Right, so I don't think many people will actually remember this. Okay, look, there's our first turn into west, which is going to take us to waypoint 2. But yeah, I don't think you guys remember, but I did a very similar flight about 2 years ago. I deleted the video because, you know, there was stuff there that I don't want to mention right now. But yeah, the flight itself went fine, and the landing was okay because, you know, it was on FSX, not on X-Plane, and it was actually not that bad. The flight simulator for, you know, a game with almost 20 years of existence. It's pretty impressive how it still holds up today. But yeah, they were using X-Plane 12, and it pretty much does the job perfectly. I don't have a single thing to, except for the ATC. We're not going to talk about the ATC. Yeah, here's the city. The castle is up here. You know, the streets are very accurate, and the highways and, you know, the national roads, but other than that, it's pretty much unrecognizable. That's the thing about this. You don't get real world buildings, unlike Microsoft. But you get traffic, as you can see. Yeah. The plane itself is so detailed, but one thing that I've noticed is that while on FSX, right, it's a game with almost 20 years of existence, you can open your window. Here you can just open the door. But yeah, there were some things that were adjustable actually. If I remember the clicking spot, I don't know. But you used to be able to move this. Yeah, it is pretty insane looking, to be honest. You know, I'm not used to playing in these big games where you just have the most realistic graphics, and sometimes it just blows me away. Look at the reflection on the glass here. You can tell it's been used. You can tell it's so well. It's just wow, you know. Even though it's an important plane from X-Plane 11, I'm sure they retextured it because it is just awesome. And the weather and the clouds and stuff, it's just beautiful. I'm not liking the aspect of these clouds in front of us, but it's good because we're gonna turn north into waypoint 3, which is in Viseu already. So yeah, from this point on, we're pretty much gonna go straight forward. We are about 3,000 feet. We can start to stabilize. Let's just wait for it to get to 500 mark. And this is our turn. So waypoint 2. And we're just gonna follow the flight path. And hopefully everything goes right. I don't promise anything. You know, you can die pretty much at any moment here with me. But let's stabilize. We don't need much power, so let's back it off a little bit. Should have done this earlier though. And we can also turn off our landing lights and our taxi lights. Perfect. Another thing that I like about this plane is that it adjusts the trim for us. In FSX, it doesn't do that for some reason. We have to do that ourselves. Or maybe I'm just an idiot who doesn't know how to play with autopilot. But yes, we have the highway over here. This is the A23, which goes up to Guarda, and I think it goes even further than that. But one thing I'm really excited about for this journey is Serra da Estrela, which is the highest point in Portugal, in continental Portugal, because then you have Azores, which has Pico, which is about 2,100 meters high, I think. You know, I have no idea. But yeah, it is pretty much aligned. 34, 34. Perfect. And our third waypoint, I think it's either Viseu or the airport itself. Man, it's just so pretty. This game actually blows my mind because it's quite realistic in terms of scenario. It's pretty quiet here. But you know, it's not that realistic. We have the same type of vegetation and the colors of the ground and stuff. That's pretty realistic, but we don't have satellite imagery. That's something that is... It would, you know, in fact make a huge change, just like in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And another thing that I like about this is that I'm using real live weather and time. And I'm looking outside my window and it's pretty much the same thing I'm seeing on the game, which is, it's funny, to say the least. It's feeling that, you know, it is so cool. Let me be honest with you. Yeah, I think that's Serra da Estrela right there. This is Gordunha. I think, I'm not sure. Let me just go check. Okay, so they're pretty much not that aligned with the path itself, but yeah. So Serra da Estrela is actually that way, so we're not, it's nothing that I thought. Okay. Yeah, 108 knots. It's really cool, actually. Gosh, I have to wind that down a little bit. And you know, using GPS on this was a pretty difficult challenge because I'm not used to this system on the Cessna. I was very used to the FSX system, which doesn't have all this fancy stuff. We only have the radios and the comms and stuff, and the autopilot is pretty much this style, which is much easier. In my opinion, it's much easier to understand than these two systems, like this. Or maybe I'm just dumb, you know, I can't tell, but Ah man, it's just complicated. But yes, that is Serra da Estrela. That is Serra da Estrela. I was right about that. This, I'm not sure what it is. That's Gordunya or something. Probably Gordunya. I think I moved that accidentally. So let's go to... where was it? Message. Okay, nav data, on data, whatever. Doesn't matter. We're flying. That's what really matters. Okay. See, I don't know what's going on with the yoke. I'm using the PS4 controller. It's likely that because it has some stick drift, it starts shaking like hell, but I'm not even touching the controller, that's the thing. I'm also not gonna risk and move the controller. Okay, seems like above these mountains we're gonna pass fine. We don't need to raise ourselves. But yeah, in this area the scenery is absolutely beautiful. I'm saying also in real life because it is a pretty place. You know, I never touched snow, but Serra da Estrela is actually one of the few places in Portugal where it snows. And yeah, I went there once or twice, and it's pretty fun. You have the tower, like right on the highest spot, and it's pretty. It's a nice place. We have camping sites and natural reserves and pools and whatever. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of tourists in that area as well. And the villages inside of the mountain, inside of the mountain range itself, are pretty beautiful as well. Like Manteigas, and I think there were other villages, I'm not sure. But yeah. I'm gonna see how this video performs, and if it performs well, and if it doesn't do the same thing where you just get like 2 views and that's it, then I might actually do more flights. Maybe not even in a bit more complicated aircraft, like the Cessna Citation, or you know, just any other aircraft in this. I was also thinking about the Cirrus, Cirrus, whatever it's called, an airplane, because it has the G1000, but that's the problem, I have to study it first. I'm just gonna climb a little bit here because I'm not liking the way this clearance is looking, so I'm gonna climb about this rate, and hopefully we don't crash into a mountain. And we have Serra da Estrela itself also, so we need to climb a little bit more. And these mountain ranges are absolutely beautiful. And the most cool part about this is that it's all natural. There's no, infrastructure other than mountains and the fire lookouts, which, they need to be there. But in most cases, they don't even have those. So it's just natural beauty. Natural beauty. Look, there's our Pito Heat right there. Let's stabilize again, once again, keep in mind our altitude. I was also thinking about doing a live stream in this kind of setup, either X-Plane 12 or any other game like Euro Truck Simulator. I was thinking about even like bringing an actual series of Euro Truck Simulator, but I just can't be sure that it's gonna be worth it because, man, I just don't know. I've done it before. It's got some views, but it was in Portuguese, and I'm not sure what to do. To be honest with you, right now in this moment, I only have one video up, and it's only because it's still getting views. I had other videos, and they didn't really perform that well. And then I had others which blew up, and then they just stopped. So I'm not sure what to do. Right, so ahead of us we have these mountains here, but I think we're gonna go through the shortest side of it, which is pretty cool. But yes, this is Serra da Estrela, what we're seeing here. We have and stuff. Those villages. We have this river over here. Actually, let's see what that is. Oh, it's Zibri. Okay. Makes sense. Man, look at that. This is so pretty. I mean, the bird itself is absolutely wonderful. But then you have everything else. It's just so pretty. If you take a photo like this, it almost looks like real life. The only thing that would stop me to believe that this was real life is that these roads are here without reason, and then the river is kind of awful. But if we go like this, it looks like an air-to-air photo, not joking. And then the beautiful sky with that color, and it's not sunset, by the way. The sunset is in about 2 hours. So, it's just it's just today, I believe. Just this day. And these conditions are perfect so far. And the flight plan is in IFR mode, but I'm not using the IFR altitude because to fly off IFR you need to be at least 10,000 feet high. We are in this moment 3,000 feet. So we're not following any rules, and we have to still climb a little bit more because I'm seeing myself running into that mountain, and I don't really want that to happen today. Would be a shame. Honestly, would be a shame. We also have to watch out for Viseu, which that city comes after these mountains. We have some villages, and then yes, we reach Viseu, which is a big town. Okay, then waypoint 3. Yeah, okay, that's fine then. So we're gonna guide ourselves by waypoint 3, and then we're just gonna start descending towards Viseu, which itself is 2,000 feet high. Whoa. Really? That's so cool though. I had absolutely no idea. Oh wait, so this is the island. No. Huh. Okay. Okay, the wind is starting to get a bit stronger. As you can see, 12 knots. It's nothing to worry about though. Because, okay, we can stabilize now. We don't need to be that high. think we're high enough. We are past 4,000 feet now. It should be enough. But, you know, remember when the first mountains that we passed, it was just forest area? And as we go up the country, the mountains tend to be more rocky and have these kind of textures, which in this game it's pretty well portrayed here. I think. I'm also not seeing any roads, except for this national road. Oh look, there's a truck. Trucks are cool. Yeah, and the altitude is also, sometimes it's messy. Like, I visited my hometown, which has a mountain in the middle, and in this flight simulator, that mountain doesn't exist. And I think in Microsoft Simulator it does, but also not that high. Because, you know, in real life it's not that high, it's about 200 meters. But yeah, in most flight simulators it doesn't exist. In GeoFS, which is a browser flight simulator, and that maybe someday I will talk about it here. In that flight simulator, it also doesn't exist because I think they're using the same data, and that data doesn't have the actual mountains. But it's raining here, as you can see. You can see the rain. But it's also windy, so it's not. But we can see our plane a bit struggling a bit with the heading. We're entering a cloud. I'm not liking that. Let me just look outside. Yeah, it's just foggy right now. But you see, that's cool because we now are depending on this to fly, and we don't see a thing. Oh, what a shame. That's pretty bad. I was not expecting this. We had beautiful weather back there, so why not here? I'm going down a bit. I don't want to crash though. We're now flying instrument. Whoa. What was... Oh, that's the rain effect. That scared me. Okay. Yeah. Look, there's a... Looks weird a little bit, but it's just because it's gray outside, but now it makes sense. Let's just watch our instruments here. Okay, we are seeing way better now. Okay. But I think the fog is gonna come down a little bit. So let's just stabilize at 3,500 should be enough. Because the airport itself, I think it's 2,000 feet high. So, yeah. But the rain effects, I have never seen those. They look so cool, actually. Oh. You know, it kind of looks like it's scratching the window, but it's not the windscreen. Whoa, that's cool. And you can also see the rain passing by really quickly. I don't know if like with YouTube compression it lets you do that, but yeah. We have the city ahead of us, sort of. Let me see if I can see anything. I don't know if it's this or if it's further down. Okay, and I also don't promise anything about my landing. Okay, this is our registration. So when ATC calls us, we need to hear for that. I also don't know what this is. Oh, okay, I know what this is. But this though. This worked in FSX. I don't know what that is. But I remember clicking that. But okay. Once we reach waypoint 3, then we actually need to check for the airport because it's pretty hard to spot if it doesn't have puppy lights, but I think this one does have. Right, because we are almost getting to our approach, and I have a feeling that I'm gonna forget about that later. I'm gonna turn on the landing and taxi lights, just for now. Let me show you those outside. It's on the wing here. It's two different lands. It's realistic. We're also gonna check out our landing afterwards with the replay mode, which in this case is actually pretty good because on MFSS, okay, whatever, Microsoft Flight Simulator, you didn't have that initially, and when it came out it was so glitchy and it made the game crash and whatever. But in this case, it works fine, and I think it worked fine since the game release, but I could be wrong about that. Okay, so we're gonna start to take off some power and start descending. At about 200 feet per minute, I think it's fine. Let me start to see. Right, so the city is to our left, so it should be on this side, which I think it's this part over here, but I also need to see where the airport itself is. You know, it's a shame that I can't use ATC because it's pretty annoying, and I'll tell you why. I used it once, and on a test actually, and I got too close to the threshold point on a runway, and they told me I got banned from ATC. In game, a bot told me I was banned. So, oh wait, is that the airport? It is. Okay, we're too low. Jesus Christ. But it's great in this type of situations to have lights. They help us a lot. But yeah, our glide slope is absolutely awful. But it seems like the runway is also tilted. So yeah, let's reach about 3,500 and then we're gonna stabilize. We're gonna not be able to see it because of this thing for a while, but once we hit that turn, we're gonna be heading straight towards the airport. Let's stabilize here, it's fine. Take off some power. Oh wait, we are 90 knots. Okay. And the fog has hit us again. Let's go. Was that lightning? Lightning? Please tell me no. Take off some power. I can't see anything. Jesus Christ. You know, please don't do this to me right now. I would like, okay, it's right there. We are still not quite pointed towards the runway. I don't think we are exactly on point. Okay, but it's actually better than that. Here on this map, it isn't calibrated. That's why it said it was out of date. But yes, we need to climb a little bit. You know, this is so confusing because the airport is elevated. So we have to kind of guess where it is. But the light is sort of visible. Man, I really don't like this. Let's take off some power again. Because our speed is way too high. I hate this fog. Zoom in a little bit. Oh god. And then we have to disconnect the autopilot and fly by ourselves. See, because the airport is elevated and today there's fog, we can't see nothing, which is incredibly dangerous, and we are way too fast. I can't see anything. Oh, it's right there. Okay, I see it. Let's disconnect the autopilot and fly it ourselves. We're not even gonna use flaps for this one. Oh, Jesus, we are so high up. Okay, but we can still do this. Okay, let's just be calm. Look at the reflection there. That's so cool. Yeah, we are way too high. All white lines. Jesus Christ. Full flaps. And we are way too fast here. Way too fast. We are so done. Okay, we're fine actually. Let's try our best here. Oh God. Oh, Jesus. Come on. Brother. And okay, that was hard. That was a tough landing. Could be worse though. Could be worse. Center line was not that good. Please turn this way. Please. Oh God. This wind is not helping us. Oh God. Okay. We're just gonna exit this way. At least try. At least try, I said. Oh my God, guys. Okay. Okay, let's stop right here. Okay. Sorry, let's align ourselves a little bit better. And let's set our parking brake. Okay. And now we're gonna check out our landing. Okay, here we go. Dude, this glide slope was so messed up. But we got it. We landed, we didn't die. Jesus Christ. We were also super fast. Jeez. I think we need a new set of brakes. But hey, we landed, and it wasn't centered, but we did it. Right, okay, let's keep going, and let's find a parking spot for us. I think we're just gonna put it in the same place where the other airplanes are. So let's just park it right up here, next to these hangars. And just a little bit more, and stop. And now parking brake, please. There we go, parking brake. Let's remove throttle. And now we are gonna cut off the engine. So we just do off, turn off our avionics, our pitot heat, landing lights, taxi lights, fuel pump, navs, strobes, and finally beacons. And now we turn off our batteries. And there we go, that's it. And for safety reasons, we're going to cut off the fuel intake. And open the door. And it's done. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know it was a mess, and it was this approach. It was awful, but we are alive and well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.